Kaishuan and Zhang Wuji alongside the center, the lane that was actually doing quite well as well. Lee Sin banned away. Pretty standard from what we've seen at 11.11 in the first pick. You know, we've seen 80 carries, we've seen jungles come through, like the Udyr. Let's see which direction FPX go this time.
So, you know, the big difference RW made, obviously, with the Tahm Kench ban is that they left Gwen open. So, potentially saying, hey, FPX, we don't know if you play it, though Nuguri has played it in solo queue, or saying, hey, we have counters to it. Things along those lines. FPX don't go for it. They don't fall for that. They are just going to go straight for the Udyr themselves. And Rogue Warriors starting off with the same 1-2 that they had in last game, maybe thinking, hey, if we can get a more volatile bot lane matchup, you know, if Senna Tahm Kench isn't there, we can impact that and play around Zhang Wuji as we expected this roster to do coming into the split.
Yeah, you've got yourself strong jungle once again as well alongside it. For FPX, just hold a second. This has been flaunted throughout the day. We saw the ban a little bit earlier on in the IG Sooning series, but Tristana comes through, and we have the Alistar as well, and we've got to remember that Tristana is potentially that flex that can go top, that can go AD, or even mid lane towards DMB.
I think we would expect it to go in the hands of LWX, though, right? And it's something that we've seen go up against the Kai'Sa and have overwhelming success over the past few months. You have very strong in level 2 and level 3 all-in potential. You're going to outscale. You're going to outrange. You're, I'd say, more dynamic and more versatile in how you can fit in a team composition in that sense. And then Forge picking up the Sylas. We do expect that to go in his hands. Again, Forge, very well known for kind of sticking to his comfort champions, what he's good at, that kind of niche of like, hey, I want to all in, I want to be aggressive, and I want to be a big playmaker for the squad. So far, very AP heavy composition on the side of Rogue Warriors. So I'd love to see 8917 maybe pick up more of a, you know, an AD champion coming in. We highlighted how the Nard could have fit in that last time around. You're potentially setting up for where you can have side lane pressure with Sylas being in one lane, and then maybe another, again, like pseudo split pusher in another role. Well, top lane being that other role.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for the Gnar though. The set ban away, so for Rogue Warriors 8917, he does have the option of going for something that can try and withstand the lane, or rather than taking it away from Nuguri, as he was so big on it in the first game. Let's find out. Nautilus was the other ban, by the way, going against his Alistar lane, as Rogue Warriors might just leave the top lane counter pick, might leave questions up in the air while they get the Rakan alongside Zhang Wuji.
I do like that, because when I think about it more in depth, right? Even if you pick something like the Gnar, well, he can always come out with a strong counter pick. The Gwen actually surprisingly left open still, and FPX say, hey, we don't care, we're gonna go for it. We're still gonna see the RWF counters, and FPX might go for both of these champions. JUNB has been playing it in solo queue. We've already highlighted Viego, extremely strong up against melee matchups. You can really abuse your attack range coming out. You have a ton of sustain in that laning phase. And then you're just a complete monster in team fights with those resets coming out. We got it. We got Gwen and Viego in the same game.
So you go so easily in the side of FPX, or it could go horribly wrong. Who knows? We're going to gear up for our two new champions, while for Rogue Warriors, they get the topside counter pick. And this will kind of give us an understanding of maybe what pros think is really good into this Gwen, right? You have the invulnerability W that you need to get inside the ring to damage during the trading. And Wukong can do that, so nice gap close here to round out the composition.
Yeah, kind of interesting, because we've seen over in the LCS that a lot of people gravitate towards something like the GP. You have a very strong level 1, because Gwen's level 1 is actually pretty overbearing. She takes her E, so she has a dash. She also gains bonus damage on her autos and bonus attack range, things along these lines. So level 1, very strong coming out from the Gwen, but yeah, we're going to see, I think, pretty volatile lane matchups would be fair to say, when you have Viego versus Sylas and Gwen versus Wukong. The annoying thing about both these solo laners in my mind is that they both just have such an easy time sustaining throughout their laning phases. Viego especially, right? You're able to Q minions, get the mark on them, then auto, kind of be able to get that sustain even non-interactively with the enemy laner.
Yeah, the Blade of the Ruined King, the Q passive is just insane, right? And the fact is, he can also heal when he gets a 6, when he gets a Heartbreaker, and he's able to, not even 6, when he possesses someone else's corpse. The healing is just extravagant. So running into this game, a lot of new mechanics we'll be talking about. If you haven't been watching the LCS, then you're in for a bit of a treat, because these two champions are so good at the moment. And with a Tristana as well. There's actually a lot of gap close on this comp too. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. I'm more excited to see if Rogue Warriors can actually halt the aggression from FPX Lyric, because both Gwen and Viego, when they get going, they really don't slow down.
Yeah, and like you were highlighting earlier, I'm interested to see how the Wukong fares up against it. I would figure that Gwen would have, really not bad of a time going into this lane matchup. Sure, you already highlighted that Wukong can get into her W and try to fight her there. You do have some CC, but I think Gwen should be able to farm up just fine. And again, I think should be pretty strong in the early levels up against the Wukong. And then Viego as well. Maybe Silas will be able to get pressure, but he should be able to farm just fine. You outrange him. Your Q is on an extremely short cooldown. I think it is only about 5 seconds, so can even potentially just look to poke there. You have a jungler who is very good at finding these early ganks, and the Udyr brings the CC for your 2 high damage laners. And if there's a composition that would want to try to aim to beat the sort of win timing that FPX had in game 1, it would be this composition in game 2.
It would. It really would. Can they beat 1707? We'll give every chance to Rogue Warriors, see how they start this early game off. Of course, they were 17th last split. This is the bottom ranking team that's made some changes. Going up against FPX at the start of split, really rough matchup. I think for everyone out there as well, you got to remember that here in LPL, we're not going to give you BS, right? We're never going to tell you, oh, this team has so much potential. No. Rogue Warriors are a team that's looking for development here, and every match counts, sure, but we want to see how they go against some of these top teams and what the future holds. Maybe not this split, but maybe sometime in the near future if they stick with the lineup. Sticking with the lineup is the first battle, it feels like, as well, Lyric, as we're getting to see a little bit what's happening in this game. We've got Nuguri and Doomby both on the Conqueror. Pretty standard stuff from what we've seen as well, but resolve secondary tree for both Viego and for Gwen. Important to note that Nuguri hasn't got a flash. He's gone for the Ignite and for the teleport, as he already has a dash.
Yeah, and I want to highlight that we already saw kind of the strength of Gwen's level 1 that we highlighted up when we were panned over top lane, right? You E in, you get the damage, you get the attack speed, you get the dash, you force quick trades, you also start Doran's Blade on Gwen. The stacking AD from the Conqueror Adapted Force is just really strong early on and just gives you even more sustain in lane. So Nuguri going to force this matchup to his limits, but interestingly enough, Wukong is a champion we have seen in the past that was able to take Ignite with TP, and 8917 is going to opt into doing that and is going to look to go toe-to-toe with Nuguri in this matchup.
And we'll see how he goes as a retribution for game number 1. Ice Coke getting invaded on in the meantime, though. This is a level 3 Udyr who's warded over the side. Vision not acquired until now, and Ice Coke either loses red or might lose his flash. Let's see. Doomby comes on in, tries to get him down with the Maw, but doesn't succeed. Ice Coke flashes, however, late after losing the red buff onto Forge. He sticks around, burns his flash as well, and FPX get 2 for the price of none.
Yeah, Tien utilizing his lane prio is really nice. So you look at the minimap, all 3 of FPX's lanes are pushing. Also doing really nice mechanics on the champion. We see him going with the auto W auto. W, of course, is an auto reset, so far so good for the side of FPX. I think later on, maybe could be more explosive for Rogue Warriors, right? You have a very all-in heavy team composition. Pretty much every champion just wants to run in, and then Rumble can just drop his equalizer on top of that.
Oh, nice catch. Onto Doomby. Double harpoon lands into him as well. He'll have to back, has the teleport, but it was a nice timing from Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, and, again, they're finding advantages where they can. Sadly, they weren't able to force out a summoner from the side of Doomby. He does also have TP, so he can get back to lane in time, not miss much, if any at all, of the EXP and gold that he could have otherwise lost. So far, I don't want to say slow early game because we've already seen FPX look to make aggressive plays. And the scary thing for Rogue Warriors is that, right, Tien's going to back, his camps are going to cycle up again, he's pathing towards his top side, and in another minute and a half, he's going to be able to look for those same plays, to where for the side of FPX, their bottom lane is just going to consistently have push in this matchup as well.
You can see Chris actually going for the gauge. There's a rocket jump onto Jung Wooji. Exhaust immediately flashes away to get the spacing away from the grand entrance as well from Kai Xuan. And Chris starts the engage, but it's LWX who burns the flash. It is only a response of exhaust, and a somewhat a favorable trait, actually, for Rogue Warriors, but HP, a different question.
Yeah, feeling threatened by Kai Xuan's knockup, but Doomby and Tien are here. This does look pretty bad. Jung Wooji does have flash. I think he's fine. Kai Xuan might be a different question.
No, he battle dances away, still gets out. Doomby and Tien just have to walk with their hand between their heads. I'm not sure how that makes sense.
Right? You're losing gold, you're losing EXP. LWX is also getting a plate on top of that. And Zhang Wuji and Kai Xuan just had a full-on back, so this could even be 2 plates for the side of the FPX bot lane.
Well, everything rotates here for FPX, right? You've got the CS lead, the plates you mentioned there again. Doomby actually getting engaged on by Forge as Ice Coke is nearby. Bit of healing comes through here from the passive while Ice Coke gets blocked by the minion wave. And it's been a pretty full-on, there's no kills, but it's actually been a pretty full-on early game here. FPX are up quite a bit of gold, but Rogue Warriors are kind of going pound for pound, and the only reason that FPX are up is because of that bottom lane play.
And this time around, right, we're 5 minutes in. Gold isn't unbearable. They're working as a team. They're getting vision topside. I think Nuguri is still in a fine spot. Already did use his TP earlier on, but still going to be able to spot out Tien. They were trying to find, I think, some jungle camps because we did see Tien steal away some of Ice Coke's jungle camps on the bottom side. None are there, just going to get some vision, and FPX going to be able to transition that into a Drake.
Which is a good start for the game here already. You can see Tien with the CS lead. Top lane, a little bit of a lead there as well. About 10 towards the mid lane here for Doomby. Also noting the bottom side plus the plates we saw. We roll into an Ocean Dragon, which means Infernal or Cloud Soul coming up this game. As you can see, Crisp is just trying to angle onto Zhang Wuji as the wave is pushing in. And Zhang Wuji feels like, well, he might be frozen against, but remember it is Tristana. Very hard to freeze, if near impossible.
Interestingly enough, we see an Executioner's Calling coming out from Doomby, so respecting the heal and the all-in potential coming out from Forge. He also realizes at this point he isn't just playing a straight-up 1v1 lane. Ice Coke has showed and made his presence well-known in mid lane many times at this point. And yeah, again, I'm kind of surprised by the lack of, I don't want to say aggression, but like volatility that we've seen in this matchup, just from how FPX played in game 1, and again, kind of what Rogue Warriors have historically been known for. I would have expected a lot more, I don't want to say mistakes, but mistakes.
You again, you're honest. It's okay. You don't have to hide that one back too much. Doomby hanging around the mid lane, just trying to find Forge as he gets the blue buff. Game has stabilized just that little bit for now. As Ice Coke goes back to farming. What else is happening in the game? Well, I can tell you that Tien going up towards that top side might be angling for the early Herald, as it's 7 minutes 40 in. No bot lanes have rotated yet, but Crisp is making his way up, actually backing straight up. I'll be curious what happens in the early Herald here, Lyric, because we know that FPX in the previous game were all over it. They're putting priority there, and Tien managing to head up there now.
I mean, this is their Herald, right? They have push in top, they have push in mid. With push and bot, it means Crisp will be able to reset first. He's going to make his way over. It looks like Rogue Warriors potentially want to move up and contest, but I don't think that's a good call because you're facing a Tristana down in the bot lane. They've already taken 2 plates. They would be able to take more. So Rogue Warriors smartly decide, hey, we're only going to send Kai Xuan up, and we have ultimates pretty much available everywhere for the potential fight.
We do. No steal there, though, as Doomby's trying to go on in. Remember, has the Heartbreaker available. But after losing away the Herald, the potential steal, FPX try to force them out, and Rogue Warriors back away. So Herald net gain here for Tien. He still found Kai Xuan and tries to get away, but Phoenix Dance rips him apart as Rogue Warriors still have to go back to their den.
And this is one of those things, right, where I like what Tien is doing. Just run straight bot. You've already taken 2 plates in the bottom lane. This will be a very easy turret to break open. Then you have another pressure point where you can start rotating members around the map. Again, push in the long lane, maybe transition into the 1-3-1 setup and let Viego dominate in the side lanes. And FPX right now are just kind of playing by the book.
They really are. I do like, however, that Zhang Wuji paid attention and gave the respect to move away from the bottom lane turret, just in case it was the Herald play, it was the dive play as well. Nuguri going to get spotted out in a ward here towards blue buff. The steal not going to come in time from Ice Coke. Remember that Nuguri has the ultimate available. Needlework and Ignite could destroy this Rumble. And while you can't get anything on the top side as a Rumble, Lyric, LWX continues to do this. And now for Ice Coke. Oh no. Is he in a bit of trouble? Doomby's on the way as well. First part of Needlework, the second there as well. Onto the Blast Cone to save his life, while the Equalizer helps with that too. And just has to go back to whatever jungle's left.
Yeah, nice engage coming out from him. Goes in, pops the ult immediately because the ult, of course, does give you a slow. Crisp, though, looking for an engage. Not going to be able to find anything. This turret should be very easy to break down, though. Forge does have TP. It looks like he was hovering around Fountain just in case he needed to go for that. But the fact that Doinby has pressure in mid, even if Doinby just kind of hovers down towards Fog of War, LWX and Crisp will be able to break this turret down. And I mean, we're just seeing like extended laning phases come out from the side of FPX. They're completely happy with it. Ice Coke going to try and find a play on the opposite side.
He is, and he's in the middle of Nuguri. One more auto to do it, and he overheats to get it done. Very close for Ice Coke, but he gets a kill, and Nuguri thought he's a little bit stronger with the Ignite, but taking that down means Rogoros will get some plates in response. But it's just about how many lanes they're going to lose at this point, even despite a good little rotation.
I mean, the big thing about that, right, was that Nuguri actually hadn't reset yet, so he had a ton of gold. You can see he already just picked up the Leeching Leer and the Blasting Wand coming in. So, you know, maybe had he had more stats in that situation, it looked like he would have been able to win, especially with the Omnivamp coming out from something like Leeching Leer. We know Gwen's going to be at our first really strong point when he is able to pick up the Riftmaker. Of course, that was buffed, you know, coming into 11.11. Actually, I think it was buffed 11.10, but they made it easier to stack. You now get stacks when you take damage as well, not only when you deal damage. And they also changed it to where it's 3% stacking up to 3 times instead of 2% stacking up to 5
times.
I think that's what it was before, yeah.
Yep.
So, again, you lose 1%, but you stack it up quicker, and it's easier to stack. So I think that feels a lot better than the old Riftmaker did, to where it felt really hard to feel any value of it in the early game.
It felt like another Conqueror, right, where it just took so long to stack up, and getting max stacks wasn't really always there within
There was just no
final.
immediate... There just felt like no immediate value, right? That's why even on champions that did build it before, you would typically see other items come out before Riftmaker would.
That's right. Now it looks real good. I mean, that's saying something. It looks really, really good on champions, especially like Gwen. But coming back to this game quickly, just note that FPX got the next dragon. You saw it on your screen. 2k gold lead here in the meantime. Doinby is actually going to be fighting Forge here. He has the Heartbreaker, which Forge has stolen away. Still hasn't used that ulti, but going back in with the Maul. While meanwhile, FPX is going to fight here. Jung Wooji comes in with a Killer Instinct, but LWX blows up Ice Coke, turns his attention to Jung Wooji, and Chris now with the trample, ready to go back in. The headbutt pulverize onto Kai Xuan, while 8917 solo killed Nuguri, and that's revenge for game 1.
Yeah, sad we didn't get to see it again. This isn't a matchup we really know too much about. Gwen and Champion being banned consistently. This not a pick we've seen in LCS. LWX!
He's flashed for that as well. He's going to find Jung Wooji with one more auto, but the Blast Cone saves his life. And that was just Tristana play. I mean, that's great for 8917 coming back to that, because I feel like highlighting after what was a devastating game 1, that would feel so good.
That's the thing, right? We need to keep harping on it, that first time in LPL, just moving up to Rogue Warriors from the sub team. Looks like he's probably going to go down. Doesn't have Flash available, but Forge probably going to be able to save him.
Yeah, teleport in, does the job, as Spectral Maw didn't actually connect in the play either. And as he comes up, 8917 will find a nice time to back, and Forge will just hold the top weight.
Yep, we are seeing a bit of volatility now with Chris making his way up. Forge does have Flash, so I'm not sure if they will be able to pull this off. Doesn't have ult on cooldown, though, so wouldn't really be able to take anything if they did decide to go for the dive. But we do see FPX realize, hey, we can't go for this. Other members of RW are already moving up as well, and they're going to back off the play.
I want to note that in the inventory of Doinby, if we do see this one-on-one or even you know, anything evolve in this top side, that Execution is calling against the Silas really good. Oblivion Orb against the Viego would also be great, as we'll watch this one-on-one because it was just Nuguri versus 8917.
Yeah, goes in for the other charge of the ultimate as well. We see Nuguri's ult finally coming out in this exchange. Conqueror already stacked up for 8917 and just able to take it.
Rocket Jump comes in though, we're not too done. Kai Xuan got pretty low after we were in that replay, and Doinby did as well. So not sure what happened there, but we went from a replay probably into another replay. He did.
Oh yeah, Kai Xuan, Doinby, Ice Coke all using ultimates while we were in that replay. So a fight did happen to break out. And yeah, now we're just going to kind of default back to farming. Rogue Warriors, I don't think, should be able to find anything onto LWX here. Does look like we're going to start up the Rift Herald on the side of FPX, and I'm not quite sure if Rogue Warriors can contest. 8917 does have ultimate, but they don't really have a way to get close enough to FPX to look for the fight. And even nice respect from RW coming out, realizing, hey, we don't know where the members of FPX are. They were going to walk into a potential death trap coming out from Crisp.
8917, able to pick up first item, I believe. Yeah, got Divine Sunder after that trade. While we were having a chat there, I also noticed that Tien picked up the Rift Herald absolutely free without the smite in the end. It was a good block from the Void Seeker as Crisp is going in for this one. Forge steals the ulti, but FPX are definitely here with the damage versus Doomby, ready to go over the wall, which he can't do with the Spectral Maul. Doomby still waiting here in the Harrowed Path to poke his way out, but Rogue Warriors playing it super cautiously, and that's what we've had a lot of this game, right? We've had a lot of this trepidatious stepping from both of these teams. It's 15 minutes in, it's only 3 kills. And while that may not be English, I can tell you one thing, that both teams are kind of just waiting to where they position.
Yeah, and right now, RW paying the respect to FPX, 5-man topside. We see Zhong Wuji was catching waves in mid. Equalizer goes a bit wide, not able to come out. Dragon coming up in 50 seconds, though. FPX did already get some resets off. We see Tien getting back on the map, so they should be able to get some control over bot side and secure that one for themselves. That will be soul point for the side of Rogue Warriors. And we're even starting to hit item breakpoints, right? Riftmaker on Nuguri already. Iceborne Gauntlet coming out for Tien. I assume Duinbi should be pretty close to Blade of the Rune King, which obviously going to be extremely strong when he is going up against Forge in a side lane.
Also want to note that with Nuguri as well, when he gets this wave, I assume he's sitting on a little bit of gold, had the Riftmaker for a bit, but we've seen the Nash's Tooth come second here for the Gwen, been a really powerful item for the dueling. Also note that when this first item comes for Duinbi, it might be towards this, third dragon, fourth dragon after Duinbi backs here, but FPX in a very commanding position. It's a 3k gold lead, 3 and a bit, and even now, sitting down the bottom lane, ult has been used. The needlework flies through 8917. Second Herald going to be dropped here, Lyric. And this is a big push. And although FPX are going past their game 1 time now, still very much in control. That gold lead has just plummeted, or rather scraped up to 4k.
And they're just going to turn into a free dragon. And again, even if nothing happens in the next few minutes, they're going to be able to force that soul fight. We do see that they kept Forge in the top lane, so wanting to get some more gold and EXP onto him, but there's the Blade of the Rune King that we were talking about. Another fun fact about Viego, to just people who are really not familiar with him, kind of obvious you would max Q first. Second ability you max is actually your E, which is the Mist, because of the bonus attack speed and MS in it. Also, your cooldown reduces with leveling it up compared to your W. You just get damage, and it is just a static cooldown on that dash and stun.
Lyric, I'm slightly optimistic about this game. Don't ask why, but just the fact that Rogue Warriors are held on this long, that the game has been a little bit more reserved, makes me think that there was some severe learnings in the first game. I think also we've got a point where, items are being matched to a degree, apart from the bottom lane, which is 50 CS behind. That top side, the solo kill, the Divine Sunder is equalized with the Riftmaker, so do you think it's fair to be positive this time around, even with the gold lead? It does feel like Rogue Warriors have learned something.
You know what I want to see at this point, Hysterics? I want to see what happens if 8917 and Nuguri go at it full force again. Nuguri right now doesn't have his Ignite up compared to 8917, but you have Riftmaker, so again, you have a ton of sustain and damage coming out from Gwen. You obviously have the sustain coming out from your passive as well. You gain armor and magic resist inside of your W. And then we know, again, 8917 was able to take it last time. You do have some armor shred coming out in your kit as well, but you have like this zombie sustain champion in Gwen against just this full all-in Wukong. Both at one item. Divine Sunder, of course, really strong right now as well. Just give it to me, Hysterics.
Okay, if you ask for it. Absolutely. What's happening?
Right now, we are going for resets. Dragon up in 3 minutes. RW trying to find an advantage in the only place they feel comfortable, which is around this Wukong. But Nuguri's going to pay respect. He's going to back off. He knows that his wave is pushed far forward. And at the same time, they have no vision of the members of RW to where, guess what? He knows his jungler and mid laner are topside. And if his jungler and mid laner don't see your top laner and jungler, they're probably not topside.
True. You learn from that lack of information, right? I feel like we're just going to be back and forth a little bit here until the dragon comes up, but FPX commit Doombee's flash. Kaishuan's here. Doombee's going to follow up a little bit. Still has the Heartbreaker. He's teleported in. Still has the flash available. Has just ultied out of there as Rogue Warriors are committing onto Crisp, who absorbs the damage, but they don't get the kill. Forward goes 8917 again with the Cyclone, but Kaishuan is down over the wall. Rogue Warriors are very deep here. Needlework number 2 and 3. That layers through. The slow comes in, and over the wall with the Ice Coke TN will follow. Down go Rogue Warriors, and boy, was it potential for a fight that FPX just said no to.
And now all members of Rogue Warriors are down. FPX don't want to turn this into an inhibitor. They didn't even have a wave immediately available. They are going to turn this one into a Baron. Tien's not up, so they don't have Smite, but still, death timers are long enough where they should be completely fine. TPs will be up if RW does respawn in time. We're going to see how this starts. We do see the mist coming out for Doinby, looking for the engage onto Kaishuan. And yeah, it looked, again, hopeful for RW at first, like potentially maybe they've caught Doinby overextended, like Chris was coming out. But once LWX, Tien, and Nuguri are able to join in the fight, they just have too much damage available. Doinby even able to re-enter on the backside. Stun comes out from Tien, Nuguri here the whole time as well. And LWX is just so far ahead of Zhong Wuxi at this point. It's just, it's rough.
It is rough. I love the 1v1 underneath the turret in the end. Tien knows he's going to die, but wins it anyway, of course. And let's just have another quick check of the gold. In the replay, Baron was taken. FPX now with one dragon that's coming up to make the Infernal Soul in about a minute. But more importantly, the gold's almost 10,000. Probably 9 is realistic at this point if I could do math properly. But FPX have full control of the map. And for Rogue Warriors, walking into this vision is just so dangerous. Especially when you have Viego, you have Gwen. There's a lot of gap close, and there's a lot of chain CC that Rogue Warriors will get bursted by. As they're going to do exactly that. It's Kaishuan first, but that's a 3-man pulverize. Equalizes only onto Christo as Tien is running past it. 8917 with the Cyclone. He fakes it out for a little bit, but LWX doesn't buy it. Doomby takes down Forge. And that was over in the blink of an eye. FPX, now it's time to run through mid.
Like you said, Chris coming in clutch with the 3-man pulverize. Forge also trying to find a pick on the AD carry. Goes a bit too far where his team isn't able to follow up. And overall, really solid win for FPX. Again, it's what you would want to see out of a team that you expect to be contending for the championship this split.
A clean series. 17 minutes in game number 1. 22 in game number 2, Lyric. I said on Twitter, this series will not go over 45 minutes. And I was right. Give about 8 minutes.
Oh, again, just overall dominant performance coming out from FPX. Hit on Rogue Warriors real fast. New players coming in. We saw some potential in this game, right? 8917 finding the solo kill onto Nuguri. Also potentially leads to interesting questions about the Wukong into the Gwen, and maybe a matchup that, you know, we should put more time into researching. Maybe something we'll see a lot more of. And overall for RW, it's like, hey, again, the pieces aren't necessarily there yet. With time, they can be. The teamwork, like, RW is like a lot of boxes that need to check and start working on it. I feel like in a few weeks, we can kind of come back and be like, hey, where are Rogue Warriors at right now? For FPX, the question is going to be the next test. But the thing about that is FPX's next opponent is actually up. So, again, relatively young team with some untested players. So, you know, I think we're still waiting a few weeks before we get to see an FPX against a Prime matchup and be like, hey, FPX, where actually is your level right now relative to kind of what we would expect from other LPL teams?
Yeah, that's right. And it'll be a couple of weeks where FPX will be able to warm into the split, or continue to warm in the split, I should say. Both our world champions today, Lyric, picked up a win, by the way, as well. So it's been a very big day for both FPX and IGs. Doomby's just, you know, he's much like Rookie. They're both very happy people, and it's good to see the attitude from them coming onto stage, especially with Nuguri, who in game 1 was a monster. Game 2 got battered down a couple of times, but was still a very big Gwen and showed off alongside Doomby's Viego.
And again, it's just fun to see these champions maybe not push to their absolute limits, but we saw the strength in early laning. We highlighted the extended range of Viego many times because, again, I just kind of find it a bit amazing that a melee champion at 225, it happens, but it's fun to watch. 5-second Q cooldown. We've seen the power of his ultimate in other regions. We didn't really get to see it here too much, right? He wasn't really involved in a lot of these fights starting off, but still, Viego champion, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of and see a lot of these other strengths highlighted. Gwen, we saw that level 1 with E to where he was able to get lane prio, but we never really got to view too much of top lane after that, so both champions, I think, are very interesting, and yeah, we're going to see a lot more of them going forward.
So we did get our Gwen and Viego though, didn't we? You know, that's that's just what I was after asking for. Obviously, it's been a weird night. We had a very back and forth series in IG Suning. We just had a massive stomp with FPX and Rogue Warriors in both games. But I think overall for tonight, you know, we got our Gwen, we got our Viego a couple of times as well. And the LPL meta in 11.11, I don't know what to expect. You know, there's the Ezreal priority. We've got the Gwen Viego we just talked about.
Wait,
we
first pick Jinx today.
First pick Jinx we saw as well. We saw the first pick Renekton. Like, LPL is a fun region because its bubble is so unpredictable.
Yeah, and again, it's going to take some time. I do expect that we'll align more with what potentially we've seen from the LCS so far. Of like, again, we saw the strength of Udyr today is still there. This is a champion that does do so much. But, you know, another player we got to talk about is the guy who was playing Tristana. Once again, another strong pick in this meta that we didn't really see today. LWX picking up the MVP.
Yeah, it was well deserved. I mean, LWX had a really good laning phase. He did on the game number 1 as well. As any context needed, I think, for this one. LWX, or outside the FPX space, there is a cat that I don't know if it's wild or not. I don't know how they know the cat. I know that LWX feeds this cat, and it's very cute. Hence him having it in his world skin and also in his pictures. So cute stuff here from LWX, but not cute was the damage that was done from this Tristana towards the end of this game.
This was the fight, too, that Rogue Warriors looked like maybe they could have caught out Doinby, maybe they could have killed Chris, but by the time LWX came in, you look at kiting in that, able to help take down 8917. Flashes in, he does have more items than Zhongwuji at this point, gets off the E and just able to clean up, and even here, just playing such aggressive angles, has confidence that his team is going to be able to play it around him. Rogue Warriors gets cut off, and this man just cleans it up.
Yeah, it was... I mean, we turned the camera right, the observer came back, and the fight's already over because LWX is Goomba stomping all these kind of people. Tristana went ahead, crazy stuff, right? And we're now at a point where, all right, we've started day 1 with pretty standard expectations. I think IG Suning, you could say that a lot of people thought Suning were going to kick us off, but it's a good way to start into the LPL, especially when 11.11, there's such a wide champion pool through mid, through, you know, you could even argue jungle as well. Interested to hear the thoughts coming out of TN, more on the jungle pool, hopefully coming through from Wendy in this interview.
Hi everyone, welcome to the interview, and here we have Tian from FPX with us after taking the win over RW to open their summer split. So my very first question is about adjustments that whole team made during the off season, because in today's performance, you guys really show a very high level of performance. 那首先恭喜你们今天很漂亮2-0拿下了比赛的胜利。第一个问题也想问一下，你们休赛期做了哪些的调整？因为今天的表现可以说是很干净利落的。
其实这休赛期就跟之前的休赛期差不多吧，就放假之后打排位啊，然后训练赛这样。其实今天的结果跟我们的预期可能没想过这么顺利吧。然后其实最近的状态的话，可能没有那么高，但是今天比赛的话赢得蛮顺利的。
So we didn't do much special on this off season. We just do the normal practicing and the scrims. And also, I don't think in today's performance we have a very good form, and we didn't expect can be a such smooth victory. But generally, I'm very happy that we were able to close up the game with a 2-0. And also, let's talk about a bit more about the game 1, because game 1 is super one-sided, and you were able to close the game in 17 minutes. So what's the general tactics for game 1? 那其实说到第一局，你们是打得特别的一边倒，而且17分钟比赛就结束了嘛，所以想问一下，你们在第一局整体的一个战术安排是怎么样的呢？
其实第一局就也意料之外吧，感觉可能对面也很久没打了，然后我们也很久没打了，然后都打得很有进攻性吧，对于我们的线上来说，然后就赢得很顺利嘛，就中期就抱团就推完了。
To be honest, I didn't expect that can be a such smooth victory. And also, I think both teams, we haven't played matchup for quite a long time. So both teams played quite aggressively, and we were able to grab some leads in the laning phase, and also to find the opportunities to engage some team fights in the mid game to stand up the game. And also, let's talk a bit more about game 2. And because in game 2, you guys have chosen Virgo for doing B and also Green for no green. Many people are very curious about the performance of those two new champions in competitive play. So which jungler champions do you think can really fit into the comp with those two new champions? 那其实第二局比赛你们也是选出了新英雄的阵容嘛，然后把格温给到了牛宝，然后让硬币哥拿到了破败之王。然后很多人也比较好奇，就是这两个新英雄在整个赛场上的一个表现。然后所以想问一下，你觉得哪些打野英雄可能比较好的契合住这两个新英雄呢？
这两个英雄打线上的就对线的能力都很强，然后打团的能力可能稍微弱一点。就滚好雪球的话，这两个英雄都就是很强的选择。
Because I think those two new champions can be quite dominant in the laning phase, but not that strong in the team fight. So if we can make fully use of the laning phase, they can be a quite good pick. And also my next question is, now we have started the 11.11, the new patch. So as a jungler position, could we know more about your thoughts toward the changes in jungler? 那其实我们现在也是开始11.11的一个新版本了嘛，所以说你觉得作为打野位置上来讲，可能有哪些一个变化呢？
这打野位相比于 MSI 的版本的话，就是莫甘娜和兰博都被削弱了嘛。莫甘娜、兰博优先级都下降了挺多，可能这个版本就有更多的英雄能够选出来吧。然后，就比如乌迪尔这种吧。
I think compared to the patch in the MSI, the priority of Morgana and Rumble got decreased because these two champions got nerfed, and also I think some other champions, maybe like a Woodier, can also be seen on stage, and maybe you can see a high variety of different champion choices in the jungler position. Definitely, we are always looking forward to that. And my last question is, the new split has been started, so could we know more about your personal goal for this new summer split? 那其实现在呢也是一个新赛季开始了嘛，所以说我们也比较好奇，小天可能自己一个对于新赛季的个人的目标是怎么样的呢？
新赛季目标，下一赛目标是夺冠，然后别的目标的话进世界赛吧。
So my goal for this summer is I want to get the champion, and also I want to get into the World Championship. And definitely we are always looking forward for your even better performance in the future. And congratulations again. 那也是再次的恭喜你们，也可以希望你能享受每一场的比赛。And back to you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you to Wendy. Thank you to Tien as always. Thank you to Wendy for all of today's interviews. It is so great having interviews on the English broadcast. You know, I think I speak for the audience when I say that it is just such a nice touch. So fantastic again. But for Tien Lyric, I mean, aiming for the World Championship again. You talked at the start of broadcast about how this should be a very realistic expectation if FPX performed at the level that we saw in spring playoffs running into summer.
That's the thing, right? I feel like even if you look at how they did in spring, like playoffs, it should be an expectation, not even just a goal for FPX. And when we look at the meta, I feel like that's moving in a better direction for FPX as well. We're getting more skill expression coming out from our soul laners, and both Doinby and Nuguri, both fantastic here in the LPL. And now it's just, again, about seeing where the first test lies. Like, okay, you faced Rogue Warriors. They were already more of a developmental team. Now they brought in even more new players Nexus up who do have, again, more skilled players. And then we're kind of moving on to, hey, when are they going to play in RNG, a top esports for DDG? Someone along those lines.
Wait for that, right? It's going to be exciting stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed out on today, it wasn't a quick one. We started broadcast. I'm trying to do the Australian time zone. We started at 7 p.m. Australian time. 4.5 hours because IG Suning was a bit back and forth, but IG managed to tweak it out in the end. While for FPX, that was a 38-minute series or something of the like. Lyric, that was a very quick one to show they're still in form.
Exactly, right? And you highlighted both former world champion teams picking up wins today. Very nice to see. Now, you know, today is in the past. Now it's all about looking towards the future, hysterics. That's what I'm interested in.
Hey, you know, your optimism, it touches my heart. So this is why we started the cast, isn't it? We open things up to tomorrow, which is OMG and Rare Atom. And I want to put it out there. People might look at OMG and say, oh, that's going to be a bottom tier team. Be excited for Creme, Lyric. We haven't actually worked out how we say his name. It's either Creme.
Cream or Creme?
Oh, but Creme sounds so much better. And OMG look really exciting.
Yeah, and then moving on to the second games, right? EDG, so again, another top team in the LPL against BLG. Right now, our resident rumored scrim gods of the LPL, of course, bringing in Weiwei and PP God.
Yep.
So I think the second match definitely going to be really exciting. First match, like you said, OMG maybe stepped up the roster. RA, we're kind of already on a bit of a slump, but we're one of the best regular season teams we had. Fofo was a top 2 mid laner in the LPL last split, so both matchups, I feel like we're going to learn a lot. And that's just, you know, the first few weeks of LPL in general. We're going to see where these teams stack up, where are they strong, what champions do they want to prioritize, and I'm not going to miss it, so you shouldn't miss it either.
No, why would you miss it? I mean, 7 days a week of broadcast begins as of tonight. We're going to be going for 9 weeks straight, ladies and gentlemen. There is a break somewhere in July 1st, which is actually quite nice, but we do go towards 3 series weekends starting in week number 2, so this is going to be the calmer week, if anything. But OMG, Rare Atom tomorrow, BLG, a really exciting roster going up against EDG. BLG, Lyric, you know, you and I are pretty hyped for this squad. I will say that, you know, I almost put them higher in the power rankings, but we're going to see them play first. Big thank you to Lyric, of course, for joining me. Thank you to English Production. We're going to go and have a bit of a lie down. Well, maybe I speak for myself. So it is bye for now, but not forever. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here for the start.